Hi, this is Lisa Futch for Paper Maniacs for the September Copic Club Kit. This is video 2. In instruction today we'll focus on how to color black. Now we've talked about how to color red. We need to talk about how to color black. They're very similar. Black has a tendency to bleed. And as you can tell, I tried this before, and can you see where the hair started to bleed onto the face? However, it's one of the most striking color combinations that you can use is this C7 that we have in this month's kit, the C5, C3, and C1 from past kits. We're going to look at this stamp by the Greeting Farm called Bunny Hugs. And we're going to focus on her hair, and we're going to make her look like she has shading and highlights and everything in her hair. We're going to, first of all, what we need to decide is where our light source is coming from, and the light source is coming from this direction for me. And because it's coming from the side, I need to determine where my highlights are going to be in the hair. And this is especially important on the darker colors like your blacks and your dark browns, because I need to know where I need to leave the color. Leave it blank so I can add in the lighter colors. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on coloring one small area at a time. I'm going to start with my darkest color. I'm going to start with my C7, and everything closest to her face and closest to the part is going to be the darkest. This is one of the more easy Greeting Farm stamps to color because there's some directionality already presented in the hair. And I'm going to leave my highlight about right here. Okay? So I'm adding in that dark. I'm adding in with C7, I'm adding in C5, and C7 seems really dark until you go ahead and start putting the C5 over it. And I'm doing a modified feather stroke because of the hair directionality that you have on here. It's an easy fix. If you were to do this in circles, her hair would look more flat. Okay. Going in with the C3. And once again, I'm leaving those little highlight areas a little bit more blank. I'm just going over them really lightly so that when I go to blend in my C1, now that I'm looking at that, I almost want to have the highlight go a little higher in her hair. And what I can do to get that is to use my colorless blender and rub my colorless blender over this area. Now, if that's still too harsh, I'll go back over with my C3 to kind of help blend that in. Now let's focus on her bangs here in her hair. And once again, everything to me closest to the face is going to be the darkest. And if you forgive me, I need to go ahead and turn her a little bit. And maybe this will be better for you too, so that I can color up here by her part line. I'm just going to lay these lines in kind of a feather stroke. Again, add some more dark up top here. Now we're going to go in with the C5, and you can tell by how messy these markers are that I use these colors all the time. They're great for hair. It's a very wonderful color combination for shoes and belts and different objects. It's also, without the C7, it's great for making silvers, like if you want something to look metal. All right, that's my C5. Now I'm going to go in with the C3, and I'm going to leave this area in here, up top here, a little bit more light. So I'm just going to kind of feather in a little bit with the C3. I'm probably doing this a little bit more dramatically than I would in real life, and the reason is because the camera doesn't pick up all the nuances of the color as well as it does in real life. Even if you photograph it, sometimes you'll say, oh, I thought I left more light than that, and it does look really great in real life, but sometimes it just doesn't show up. Now, once again, I don't feel like my highlight's strong enough. I'm going to go ahead and get my colorless blender. I'm going to use a feather stroke in there. I'm going to add a little bit more highlight. Now I'm going to focus on this here, this other side. Once again, by her face And by her part line, it's going to be the darkest. I do work in very small spots, especially with hair, but even more especially with a black or a red, just because you have such a potential for bleeding. They do tend to move a lot. There's a lot, I don't know if it's a solvent or because the color is so strong. Just a little highlight there. All right, now I'm looking at this. I've taken off some color with the C1. Go back over and just, with the colors blender, now I'm going to go back over with my C1 and kind of blend that color in a little bit better. There we go. Go over this last area here. It's again darkest by the face, darkest by the part. And for me to be able to see that I have areas reserved for light for highlight, I have to have areas of dark within that entire piece of hair. Go back over with my C5. I'm thinking that my highlight's going to be more on this end here, so I'm going to leave more white, reserve more white over in this area. Going in with the C3. And here's my C1 to reserve my highlight. Right, to make that dark enough down there, I'm going to go back with my C5. Okay, let's look at her little ponytail here. And once again, anything that, you know, if that bow's holding it, the hair is going to be darker there. There's going to be a shadow from that bow onto her hair, and the more the inside's going to be dark. And by her face is going to be darker. So now I'm going to add in my C5. Followed by my C3. And with a very light C1 here on the edge, because this is the side that the light's coming in the strongest. There we go. There's black hair for you on our very cute little bunny hug by the Greeting Farm. Stay tuned for lesson 3.